It is the Bruins Benders Podcast, Season 3, Episode 12, Trade Winds Blowing with Maddie and Smitty, brought to you on the Inside the Rink Podcast Network, InsideTheRink.com, your one-stop shop for all your NHL and ECHL news, insight, and analysis. Follow us on X at inside_the_rink. Download the Inside the Rink app for extensive Bruins coverage. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and Smitty will tell you how to sign up for ESPN+.
For ESPN Plus. I have it. ESPN Plus. I love all the college sports, UFC, NHL, hockey, and much, much more. So sign up for ESPN Plus at InsideTheRink.com/ESPN today, so you don't miss any of the action.
Yeah, got to see the NHL, the college hoops, the college
college bowl games.
Yeah,
there are all kinds of UFC, all kind of stuff on there. You can get all of that right over there. And
it's still have the Weed Eater Bowl. You still have that thing?
Foolin' Weed Eater Bowl? I don't know. They got the Fenway Bowl. They got the Yankee Stadium.
Is that still a functioning business? The
Weed Eaters?
Weed Eaters?
I don't know. I don't think it is, because I think like the spray weeds company like gave people cancer or something. So that's probably what is it, Roundup, I think. So the Roundup, like if you sprayed too much Roundup and breathed it in, like you could develop lung cancer or something. So I think that's probably Roundup one to have a bowl named after it now. The Roundup.
Are you spraying it at yourself? Are you downwind?
Yeah, I don't know. The Roundup Lung Cancer Bowl, starring Marlboro Lights and Parliaments.
Yeah. It might as well be. It's 2 6-6 teams. I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah, right? I mean, probably a 4-7 team and a 5-8 team. But hell, they'll get some nice, bowl swag. The kids get a swag bag. There's probably like a bottle of Roundup and like a carton of cigarettes.
Oh God, yeah.
Maybe one of those push-in lighters for the cars back in the day. You get one of those too.
$500,000 to the schools. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. The offensive line and $500,000 for the schools.
Where's that one held? In the ghetto in Detroit?
That's not a good. That's Mobile, Alabama or somewhere. Oh, that's not a good spot. That's not a good spot.
Middle of Baton Rouge.
That's in, like Gatlingsburg, Mississippi or somewhere. Okay.
Yeah. Good times.
Not a good spot.
Yeah.
Rapid review for this last 4 or 5 games since we've been off for a week and a half. Yeah, especially rapid. Here goes. 4-3 win in overtime over the Leafs. This is when Brad Marchand found his hockey stick and began playing the type of hockey that we are used to having him play.
Yeah, it was good to see. It was good to see that he did find his hockey stick. He had a little meeting there with Bergeron. And after that meeting, he seemed to kind of find his game. So, is it Bergie just giving him a shoulder to cry on? Or, is it, a little tough love or something? Or what do you think the conversation was about? How's the training?
I think it was maybe calming him down a bit. He was wicked frustrated. You could see it on the ice for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Bergeron, just a calming voice, talked to him, reset his head, and then gets that, fortuitous goal in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Played a good game up to that point, but then Pastrnak makes the play with 7 seconds left in overtime.
Right.
He's able to grab it out of the air, put it home after half the Maple Leafs decided not to back check on the play, and then there you have it. They got Marchand going just on that very play. So it was a big one for him. And then he goes on to score 4 more consecutive goals for the Boston Bruins, including 3 of them and a hat trick over the Blue Jackets, a 3-1 loss. I'm sorry, to the Blue Jackets.
No, they won.
No, they won that one. 3-1 win over the Blue Jackets. Revenge for an earlier loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and Marchand had 3 goals, hat trick, and scored 3 of the goals in 5 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah, everybody was just like, kind of standing around, and he was like, "Off of my back, boys, I got us in this one." And he took them home, and they needed it because, they're still having these stretches where they, give up a lot of shots, the odd man rushes, to not playing great defensively. long stretches of zone time for the other team. So they still have some things that they need to take care of and clean up here. But, they're still finding ways to win when they're not playing at their best right now.
But for sure. And then they lose 3-1 to the Sabres. This was a stinker. I mean, Charlie McAvoy, they lost him during the game. It was just one of those really bad nights for the Bruins. Haven't had many in the last couple of years.
Right.
But this was the Sabres, who are a team that they dominated in the recent past. And the Sabres just come in and they get Tage Thompson back. He scores early and 3-1 Sabres.
Yeah, the Sabres kind of just dominated this one. I don't think the Bruins they look completely out of sync and never really seem to have it. And, I don't really know how to explain it other than that. They just didn't have it that night and couldn't really complete a pass. I mean, it's really frustrating to watch hockey when the team just looks completely out of sync. It's like every pass is a half stride off or in the guy's skates, or, they just can't get anything going. And it just seemed like it wasn't their night from the very beginning.
And it seemed the Bruins whispers with that there was some flu going around and some sickness, and it just all added up to a big fat wet fart against the Sabres. And then they turn around and play a good Arizona team that's been hot, upstart, young team, good young team, and they win 5-3. They go through large stretches here, though, where they don't play well. Arizona carries play, but the Bruins really pounce on their opportunities. It almost felt like Arizona tilts the ice, and then Bruins come down and score. Like it was just one of those days, and the Bruins get a 5-3 win over a good Arizona team, and really kind of fortunate to win it.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought they were fortunate. It was kind of a reverse of the Sabres game in many ways, where, the Bruins in some stretches during that Sabres game, like have the Sabres hemmed in the entire, shift or two shifts. And then all of a sudden Grzelcyk turns it over at the blue line. Sabres come down and score. And it was just one of those things where in this particular game, Arizona had large stretches of puck possession or whatever. And then the Bruins would just come down, have a good shift and score. So, fortuitous, certainly, but they did, take advantage of their chances when they had the opportunities to do that.
Yeah, they certainly did. And now they're 18-5-3 and up atop the Eastern Conference. And if you said that at the beginning of the year, that 26 games in, they'd be where they are now, you'd take it.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Because everybody thought they would struggle. Yeah, everybody thought they would struggle this year. And they were, missing Bergeron, missing Krejci going in. And you thought the lineup would look a little different. Lucic is out. McAvoy, has missed some games with the suspension, and now he's hurt a little bit. So, you'll 100% take this where they're at right now in the standings.
Well, no question. And all right, time for Seven Chirps, and it's sponsored by Lops Brewing. Lobster Brewery and Tasting Room in downtown Woonsocket, Rhode Island. That now has a Bar Down New England IPA as well, and it's open 7 days a week. Use the coupon code SPORTS, get 10% off your online order. Go to lopsbrewing.com. Follow them at Lops Brewing for new beers and events, including Bar Down IPA. And number one is, do you feel better now about Brad Marchand after scoring 5 consecutive goals for the Bruins and seems to have his game back? Maybe he's starting to get back to what he was.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of a little bad stretch for him where, things weren't going his way and he was getting frustrated. And it is nice to see him turn around. And, he's still at that point was like 19 points in 23 games. So it's not like he fell off the face of the earth or anything, but he just wasn't playing up to his capabilities. And that's all where really that's the standard we hold him to is, he's been one of the best left wings in the league for, a handful of years here. And that's kind of the standard that he's set for himself and the fan base. So he wasn't kind of living up to that. And it is nice to see him kind of get back to that. He seemed to be shooting more too. I don't know if that was something that was talked to him by the coaching staff or Bergeron or, some of his teammates, who knows, but somebody got it through his head that he needs to shoot the puck more. And would you look at that? It's going in.
It's going in. A couple of those off-footed Marchand signature goals. When that hat trick, like it's just he buries those. He used to bury them, and he needs to take those shots for sure. Chirp number 2, Brandon Carlo's just been flat out terrific all season long. He's just been really, really good. I think he's at a +12 to lead the team. You see that on YouTube. 26 games played. He's averaging 20+ minutes per game. Just a horse on a penalty kill. He had almost 8 minutes of penalty killing time the other day against Arizona, I think it was. He's just been so good, and really has quieted a lot of critics.
I think he is underrated. And I'll tell you what, if you're watching on YouTube, you should be watching on YouTube, because right now you would look at this picture of Brandon Carlo and you're like, that is the sexiest man alive. Alive. 2023, Brandon Carlo. I mean, look at the guy. He's just a stud. Anyway, if you're not watching on YouTube, you just have to use your imagination. That's all.
Yeah.
But you should be watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
But he has been great. And I think he has taken the be more physical in his net front to heart. I think he's been more physical this year than he has been in the past. And I think that's helped his game. I think it's given him a little more room. I think he's helping out in the net front, being a little more physical. And he needs to do that. He's a big guy. He can take up space. He's got a long stick. That's what she said. But he's got a lot going for him as far as, the size and the skating ability. And if he can add that physicality to it, which he has done this year, he turns into a really complete shutdown defenseman.
I'll tell you what he's really great at is behind the net, and in the penalty kill, behind the net, gets the pucks, and he's really good at sending up the center of the ice, like really good at that clearing thing. Like he's really good at that, and he's been much better with the puck, decisiveness, decision making passes out of the zone. Like he's just been so good, and I don't know, he was better last year. I think the Cassidy thing is definitely a factor, not playing for him anymore. But I think it's just being so. He's just being, here's the thing that's always been true about Carlo. When he's in and out of the lineup, he follows out of rhythm. Like he doesn't. He needs to put 20 games under his belt in a row, good, and then he's fine. But there's been too many times that he'd be out of the lineup, or he'd be nicked up, or he'd be just not being able to get a rhythm. I think he's that type of player.
Yeah, what the question I was going to ask is, do you think with it being at the second year now in Montgomery's system that he feels a little more comfortable, and that's kind of helped him too?
I think
comfort is, like you said, comfort is a big thing for him. So
sure. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's the case. And he's been playing with Lindholm, who's he's an excellent player. Like he's a good player, and he does a lot of the offensive. He's more of an offensive type of player, so I think that takes a little bit of his. And he, when he plays with Grzelcyk, Grzelcyk's a smaller guy. He's, Carlo has to take on more, I think, physically. And although Lindholm's not super physical, he's a bigger guy. He's a guy who can carry the puck and play heavy minutes and that type of thing. And I think it's a pretty good pairing. I'd like to see them get another guy to play with McAvoy, and keep Carlo and Lindholm together for another couple of years. I'd like to see that, because I think they do okay together. I do. I think Lindholm, interestingly enough, has had a better defensive season than offensive season.
He has
this year. I think he's been pretty solid defensively.
He's been very
hit
solid
a ton.
No,
and he doesn't. And he's not physical, but he's been good positionally, defensively this season, much better than typical, I think. And maybe that has something to do with playing with Carlo, because Carlo is so steady defensively. So, but I think you're right. I think the Montgomery factor, whether it's system or it's just the way he coaches him, has been a really good positive for Brandon. All right, chirp number 3: yay or nay on Calgary defenseman Noah Hanifin?
So that's interesting. You say find someone else to play with McAvoy. There's a left shot defenseman right there who's 6'3" and 26 years old. I mean, I'm in. I don't think he's 100% the type of guy they need as far as the physicality part of it. I still think you could get a guy like that for your third pair. But if you're talking a top 4 defenseman that can move the puck and do all the other things, and I think Hanifin is your guy. So I would be a yay on Noah Hanifin.
Do you think they're just too much stuck in their ways with this of having the same type of defenseman? Like I don't know. I feel like he's another Lindholm. Like he's the same type of thing. Like
He is
he's an
similar.
offensive defenseman, doesn't play super physical. Isn't that one of the problems with them? Is that they
Yeah,
aren't physical enough, snarly enough,
I think it
asshole enough?
is. I think it
You know?
is. And I wonder if that's something that can be coached into him. I don't know. It seems like maybe it was coached into Kylo a little bit. So, maybe being back home, maybe that helps him too. I don't know. The crowd, because he knows how the crowd responds to physicality and so forth here. So, being a local kid. So I feel like, maybe that's something that you could coach into him. Maybe it isn't.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think the size alone would help. It's 6'3" versus Grizzlick's, 5'9" if he's lucky. So I think he withstands the rigors of the playoffs. I mean, he's 6'3", 207. So he's not like he's some, little fragile kid.
Right.
And he can skate and he can do the offensive things they want. And I think part of, the problem with getting one of those big physical guys, Forward's supposed to be a big physical guy, and he can't skate to get out of his own way, and he can't get the puck out of his own zone. So if you can't go back to get the puck and get it out of your own end, then you're going to have problems and you're going to be stuck in the zone for a long time. And I think that's part of the problem with Grizzlick, even though when he's back to get the puck first, he's great. But if he's going in at the same time as someone else, the other guy's winning the puck. Or Grizzlick's not going to go in to take the hit. He's going to let the other guy have it, and then they have zone time. So, there's some issues there that, I think Hanifin could probably help out with. Would I give up all they need to give up to get him? That's another story. And is that included in maybe a bigger trade, which is...
Here's my issue. Is Lindholm, Hanifin, Lowry too redundant? That's what it is next year if you get Hanifin.
Yeah, but I mean,
is it all the same guy?
I mean, sure. Yeah, it's all the same guy, but they're all pretty good.
Yeah, right.
Or would you rather have three pretty good guys, or would you rather have, Grizzlick, Lindholm, Forward?
Right.
I think I would rather have, Lowry, Lindholm, Hanifin than the other three.
Right, and then maybe you do McAvoy, Carlo, in some like gnarly asshole,
right?
With Lowry.
Yeah, I mean, I hate Radko Gudas, but if he was on the Bruins, I'd probably love the guy.
I know, and that's the whole thing. Like he blows, but
he does.
He would absolutely bring a different dynamic to your defensive core for sure, 100%. So I think that's true. How about yay or nay on Pat Maroon?
I think I'd probably be a yay on him too. I know he's slow as fucking dirt.
Yeah.
But you put him in front of the net and he can cause problems because you can't move him because he's a fucking tub of I don't know what, but he's a tub of something.
Right.
Just ask Jack Edwards; he'll tell you.
Right.
And so, I mean, I don't know. I'm in on Maroon because I think he can score goals. He's been through the playoffs. He knows how the playoffs work. He's willing to stick up for his teammates. He's willing to, chirp and battle and that whole thing. So I would be in on him, and maybe it's not a every game thing. Maybe it's a, against the Florida Panthers type of thing, a matchup type thing where he's in against certain guys. And then you have Lauko and Steen in against other teams. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, if you're talking about a 5th round pick or something like that, sure. All in. Yeah. Yay.
Okay. I think I'd rather have Pat Falloon than Pat Maroon, but but I'll say this, and I've said it before, is one guy who plays 10 minutes a game doesn't change the fact that you almost have to change the culture of the thing. Like I think you have too many guys who don't play that way. Like does one guy really make a difference that plays 10 to 12 minutes a game?
No, it's the culture. I mean, it is. And we talked about it before, but like the Florida thing, it's not having a guy there that's going to beat somebody up if he takes a run at your guy, run at your stars or run at Pastrnak or run at Marchand or McAvoy. It's how your stars handle getting run by the other guys. Are they going to stand up for themselves? Number one. Are they going to be able to take a hit to make a play? Are they going to want to take a hit the second or third or fourth or fifth or 12th time to make a play in the playoffs? And the Bruins proved against that Florida team, they were not willing to take hits to make plays. They were afraid of getting run, and they weren't going into corners to win puck battles. And Florida took it to them. So it's really how the other guys handle it. And you're not getting rid of Pasternaks and your McAvoys and your Marchands.
No.
So the guys at the bottom of the roster don't really matter all that much. You know, do you need Hanifin or whatever to cross-check somebody in the mouth in front of the net? Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if you had a few guys who did that. But ideally, it's a guy who would go back, win a puck, and get out of his own fucking zone before they have a time to set up the forecheck. So, you know, I guess it's two different ways of looking at it, but I think it really is how your stars handle getting obliterated over and over and over again. You know, are they tough enough in a series to withstand that and still make plays and win games?
Well, the identity when they won it was Ference, McQuaid, you know, Wojciech, Seidenberg,
Chara, beating the bag out of you.
Yeah, I mean, tough, physical, but still skilled. And
physically intimidating.
Right. And they don't have that.
They don't.
And that's something that I think is still an issue.
That was up and down the roster though, in that. So it is a cultural.
It was. I mean, that team was like they'll fight and scrap and chirp, and
as Thornton told somebody he could pick which hand he wanted to beat the shit out of him with. I mean, for crying out loud. He's like, who was it?
Yes.
Dale Weiss, somebody.
It was Dale Weiss. And it was a Canadian. Yeah.
He's like, I'll let you pick which hand I beat the fuck out of you with.
Right. Yeah.
And then like Campbell would fight, Paille would fight, Lucic would fight, Thornton would fight if he had to. You know, Marchand was beating in the bag out of the Sedins. Every single player on the defense would fight.
Well, that's how they beat Vancouver. I mean, that's how they beat Vancouver.
Is 100%.
They answered the bell.
100%. And that's how St. Louis beat you in 2019.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
So I mean, it's an issue until they prove otherwise. It's an issue.
It's an issue, right? So it's going to be an issue again if it happens again, and it's just going to be one of those things where you can't deny it. Like at some point, you can't say, "Well, it's not that big of a deal," when it is every single year. Like
if you keep losing to teams like that, if those are the teams that you lose to every year, then it's an issue. Then it's a problem. And our ace producer Connor Ryan just put up Tim Thomas equals fighter, and he would fight too.
Connor
he was Green. Connor.
Connor Ryan is at Boston
right.
Globe. Yeah.
Sorry, Connor.
We have the better Connor, right?
We do.
So okay,
Tim Thomas would fight you. He was throwing blockers into the face of Canucks in the crease in that series.
He had the Sedins. Yeah. I mean that was the whole reason why he won. I mean, they tried to play that. You know, Alex Burrows. They tried to do that, bite the finger and
Burrows and Bieksa and Perrier. Yeah,
didn't work.
No,
didn't work because they were up to the task. All right, Chirp 4, let's play this game. Who would you deem untouchable after McAvoy, Pastrnak, and we'll put Marchand in there because they're not going to trade him. So anyone untouchable on the roster than those guys?
I would say one of the goalies.
Okay, right.
Oh, it doesn't. I mean, to me, it would be Swayman. I think you keep Swayman because he's younger and you have, more years of control and so forth. So I guess I would say Swayman on that list. But if you could trade Swayman for Connor McDavid, I'm trading Swayman for Connor McDavid.
Oh, for God's sakes, yes.
So untouchable.
How about Nylander?
That
won't happen.
Yeah, it won't.
In division, that won't happen.
But I would say Swayman is untouchable. And after that, nope.
Yeah,
you can have anyone else on the roster in the right deal.
Prospects. What? How about prospects?
Anyone in the right deal.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll trade any even Patra in the right deal. Sure.
Yes.
Yep. Trade.
Yes, I would too. I 100% would, because look, they were the 32nd worst prospect pool. They're still probably 28, 30.
Yeah, I mean, I love Pacha's potential. Right. I love Lohrei's potential. I think Lysel's gonna turn out to be pretty good. Merkula is having a fantastic season. He just had a 5-point game in Providence. He did. Crying out loud. Farinacci looks pretty good. Yeah. Regula's looking pretty good. So they have some guys that have looked pretty good, and I'm excited about. But I would still trade any of them.
Yes,
in a heartbeat in the right trade.
The only one I would remotely hesitate would be Lohrei, just because I think he has the most upside skill set of anyone. I think he's a top prospect. I think he's a top prospect, 100%. But yeah, I mean, I'd still trade him because you have Lindholm and you have some pieces there long term, Lindholm and McAvoy and Carlo, and you still have some guys there. So
here's a question: if you trade for Hanifin, does he go in the Hanifin deal?
If I'm Calgary, I ask for him. I mean, that's who I target. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially if it's Hanifin, Lindholm, Elias Lindholm. Like if that starts with Lohrei, I would imagine. Like you would have to be foolish not to.
I think it has to be Lohrei, Lysell, a number one, maybe a guy off the roster too. Sure. Maybe a Jake DeBrusk.
Yeah. Sure. Absolutely. So then you have to decide what the return is. Is that better than you would have had? So again, like Hanifin, who do you want to have, Hanifin or Lohrei? Like, so you have to make that decision.
Yeah,
like, I mean, Hanifin plays the same position. Like, do you want to send Lohrei in that deal thinking Hanifin takes the spot? You know what I'm saying? So you have to play that game.
You do, and then there's also the whole like Lohrei's low cost right now, and Hanifin isn't.
Yes. Right. And that's another thing where you're in good salary cap position next year, especially if it goes to 87.7, whatever they said it is.
Yeah.
So now you're at 26 million or so, 27 million in cap space. And you have some flexibility there, which you haven't had.
Right.
So I think you want to look, Don Sweeney's not going to make any trade that's anything less than Hall for Anders Bjork and whatever the fuck. Like he's going to make a trade. He's going to win going away. Like,
I have heard though, and I don't know who I heard it from, but I have heard in the ether out there that it's possible that Hanifin is pulling a Taylor Hall type of thing and saying, if you trade me, the only place I want to go is Boston.
And that
I don't know if it's true or not. I have no idea. But
that behooves Don Sweeney.
Yeah.
Because then you're like Lauko and fucking,
sure.
I mean, that's the same thing. Lauko and a second round pick or whatever. Or Lauko and whatever. Right. Lauko Harrison and a second round pick.
Yeah. We'll give you Brett Harrison in a second for Hanifin. And just be happy that you got that much.
Sure. And Lauko or Steen or whatever. I don't know. Throw another guy in there.
Sure.
All right, Chirp 5. Can the Bruins really get Hanifin and Lindholm, and should they trade the package of prospects it would take?
I don't think they will during the season. That's just not Don Sweeney's MO to trade off the roster. Do you think that DeBrusk is in play here? Do you think that could happen? I still don't know how they really feel about him. Yeah, I don't either. But I don't think I would consider him a major piece on the roster right now, even though he's not playing up to his capabilities. He's still a top 6 winger that scored, 25, 30 goals, a few years. So he's still a major piece. I can't see them giving up a major piece off the roster in season. I just don't think they will. He hasn't really done it. He'll do it in the off season. He'll make the Zaka for Holla thing in the off season, but in season, he's not giving up people off his current roster that aren't just like a fringe guy, like an Anders Bjork or, a Ryan Donato, in the Charlie Coyle trade. He's just not giving up prime top 6, top 9 wingers or centers off the current roster. I don't think he will. So I don't think you have to worry about whether or not they make that trade unless Hanifin is like, I'm only going to the Bruins.
Right. Yeah, interesting. I don't know. I think if that happens, I think you'll see them definitely pull the trigger on that. But that would be a heist if that was the case.
Yeah.
All right, Chirp 6. Matt Poitras was sitting in third periods, had a meeting with Monty. Monty did mention that he wanted to play the guys that were giving them a chance to win. Is this load management or lack of confidence in the rookie? I know he's been a little up and down, but not god awful bad. So I'm not sure how I don't know what to make of this. Is this something that Patra has shown signs that he needs a wake up call, or is it something that they're just planning to do here and there? It just seems odd in the third period, especially in a game where you lost Saka and you're
Yeah.
down to two centers without Patra in there. That seems sort of strange to stay with that plan that game.
It does seem strange to me, the whole thing and how they're handling him. It does.
Right.
Because I thought they would have him up here, and once they determined he was going to stay, that they would kind of let him kind of play through his mistakes and, have some growing pains so that later on in the year and, hopefully into the playoffs that you could trust him to put him out there and situate. Like, if you can't trust him in the third periods of games in fucking December, you're going to trust him in the playoffs?
No, you're not.
Yeah. So what are we doing then?
Yeah.
Like,
that's a good point.
You're not going to play the kid now, when are you going to fucking play him?
What's that? What sign is he going to show you without playing in the third that he's going to be ready for it in April?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're going to play him against the Florida Panthers in April if he's not playing against Arizona in December. I mean, are you kidding me? I don't know what the hell we're doing. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't like it. I feel like you have the kid up here, let him play, especially in a game when one of your other centers is hurt. So you're just going to overtax. Yeah. You're going to overtax Geeky and Coyle now, and maybe Freddie a little bit at center, just because you don't want to play the kid in the third period of a close game that doesn't really matter all that much. Right. I mean, yeah, you want to win games. You're all professionals. I get it, but it's not like he's out there just passing the puck to the other team all the time. I mean, he's had some bad turnovers, but he also helped Heinen score the goal in one of the games there with a nice play along the board. So it's not like he's out there just completely throwing up all over himself and not being able to handle himself at all. Like, there's been some good moments. There's been some bad moments. He's 19. That's going to happen. But you got to let him play through some of that stuff, I feel like, especially at this point in the season.
I thought that game, he did have a turnover that led to a goal, but then the response was the play to Heinen. Like, it was almost like he made up for it, and then they sat him anyway.
He always seems to make up for it when he makes a mistake. He makes another play, which, I mean, I guess, if you get into April and May and so forth, if, that play happens in overtime, then you lose. And I get it. That's bad. But it's not April and May now. It's December. So let him play through some of that stuff. Let him figure it out at this level before the playoffs come, so that
I think they're in a bind. I think they're in a bind because they don't have someone with his skill set as a centerman. Like, the alternative is to play Geeky at center and bring up, Farinacci or whatever, or get some guy off the scrap heap, whatever. Like, that's the alternative. You don't really have a guy like Patra's skill set at center, so they're almost they're thin there. So if they send him to Guelph, then you are stuck with Geeky at center or whoever the hell, Merkulov at center now. So is Merkulov as good as Patra? No, probably not right now. Like, he hasn't played in the NHL, so to me, I would bring Merkulov up to see what you have in him, and maybe put Patra on the ninth floor for 2 games, 3 games.
Well,
and give Merkulov a chance and see what you have there. I don't know.
I feel like, to me, if you're gonna bench the kid for long stretches of games, then you should go with how Anaheim's doing the kind of load management with Leo Carlson, where, like, second night of a back-to-back or whatever, he just doesn't play. Just don't play the kid at all, and don't shorthand yourself when you get into the third periods of games. Now you there's a guy just sitting on your bench that's not going to be an option for you. If you're going to do that, just sit him the whole game, let him watch, and have someone else, slot in there that you're going to trust in the third period. Like, so I feel like if you're going to do the benchings, you might as well do a load management thing where he's sitting whole games out instead of periods here and there.
Right, because right now you're exposing him. Like, you're leaving him exposed on the bench. Everybody's talking about, why is he sitting? Why doesn't he believe in him?
Now it's a story where it was just like the load management thing. You could just say, look, it's load management.
Load management.
second day of a back-to-back, he's not going to play.
Right, and people would understand that.
Sure they would.
He's 19 and he's 160 pounds soaking wet.
Right.
Like, we get it.
Yeah.
That's fine. So, but why do this thing where the spotlight's on him? He's like Steve Martin and the fucking lonely guy at the restaurant, like sitting there, like, I mean, everybody's looking at him. Like, why is he on the bench for 20 minutes? Like, I don't get this thought process. Like, I get
I don't think they're handling it well. I really don't.
No, what the hell is that?
No,
like, I just don't. I don't know what this is. Like, I just don't know. And it's happened multiple times now. It wasn't like one day they were like, you know what, sending the message, fine. But they're doing it like as a plan, and a plan sucks.
Yeah, the plan sucks.
It's not a good plan.
No,
it doesn't help him at all. And he said the right things today by saying, "Hey, it's the NHL. Every day is a good day." And yeah, of course. But for God's sakes, like this can't be a good thing. Says I'm going to sit the whole third period and watch the team play. Like, it's just insane. Like, just bring someone up and have him sit in the ninth floor every third game, fourth game, back to back, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, I don't understand this at all. All right, Chirp 7, Mike Milbury is on the Greg Hill Show. He wants the Bruins to have more bite to their game. Will this be the ultimate downfall again?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it, and until they prove otherwise, it will be the downfall, because that's been the MO in recent years. That's the teams they lose to. St. Louis, Florida, so that's, until they prove otherwise, it will be their downfall. And they're going to need to either add to the team some guys that will add a little more bite. They tried to do it with Lucic. That's, kind of by the boards now. So either they're going to have some other guys in to address it, or they're going to have some guys within the dressing room nut up. That's all it comes down to.
You're going to have to just, and Monty has talked about this from the beginning of the season. Like, we need to be more physical. We need to put that in our DNA and all that. They need to, because they're not, it doesn't look like they're going to fix it right now. Like it's a whole, like you said, like a philosophical change that needs to happen on how they build the roster. And they haven't built the roster.
It's also how guys like forecheck and stuff,
right.
This Bruins team, like, you watch them, like they'll the other team will go D to D, and instead of finishing the check 9 times out of 10, they just spin off to go chase the puck or follow where the puck goes, instead of going through the guy. Like, that's the difference. Yeah. That's the difference between Florida and you. Is Florida, all those guys coming in are going to hit that defenseman, not skate by him after he passes the puck away.
Right. And I think that if you look at the hits, and I don't trust the hit stat. I think the hit stat
that's terrible.
Is terrible. I think they need to get rid of that friggin' thing, or decide that they really want to take it seriously. Yeah. But Frederick and Beecher are two guys who played like the least amount of average ice time at 12 and 10 minutes all year long, and they're 1 and 2 in hits, and then it goes south in a hurry after that. Like, not a lot. And there's been times this year where the defense, especially the last few games, has had like 1 hit total or 0 hits. Like,
well, that's another part of it, is like their zone coverage doesn't really allow for things like that to happen. It's like you can't finish a guy in the corner, because if the puck goes somewhere else, and then you're beat to the front of the net, like you're missing your zone coverage. So, there's things where, like, part of it is the system, I think, where it doesn't allow them to really, unless they stand up in the neutral zone, which they don't like to do that either, because they, 9 times out of 10, they get beat down the boards, and there's a 2-on-1 going the other way, because they go out of position to make a hit, which was part of Clifton's problem, which he's having a great time in Buffalo. The fans there are like, why did we sign this guy already?
Yeah. $3 million a year for 3 years. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
All right. DraftKings Sportsbook is Boston's hometown sportsbook, and it's live right here in Massachusetts. Bet local on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home with DraftKings. To celebrate, all new customers will receive up to $200 in bonus bets when you sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook using code ITR. You can now bet local on money lines, spreads, props, and more with one of America's top-rated sportsbooks, DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up with the code ITR, get up to $200 in bonus bets to use. Now that the Bone Bull sports betting is live in Massachusetts, that's code ITR only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
If you or a loved one is experiencing problems with gambling, call 800-327-5050 or visit helplinema.org to speak with a trained specialist free and confidentially 24/7, 21 plus, physically present in Mass. Eligibility restrictions apply, subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply, opt-in required. Bonus issued as free bets. Terms at DraftKings.com/MA.
Do you bet on the hockey occasionally? Are you
Yes, I do.
Do you?
Sure, I do. Yep.
So every bet is like 1.5 plus 1.5 minus 1.5.
Yeah, no, I don't do that. I'll bet like money line, or I'll bet like single game props, like first to score or final score, or shots per game, or things like that will pay a little bit better too than the 1.5 to 2.5 puck line things.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't partaken in baseball or in hockey because of the the small spreads and
do the money line and make it a little parlay, like pick 3 or 4 games on the money line, and then you can get a little plus 500, 800. You might be able to get a profit boost out of that. You get a little
professional better over here.
Get a little something. I've hit a couple of huge college football ones. Hit like an 18 and a 12 team, won like $180 or $200 on a 10-team bet, $10 bet, and another $250 something on a $10 bet. So
interesting.
Yeah, I don't bet a lot, but a lot of money.
Enough to make it dangerous.
Bet often, but not a lot of money.
Yeah, you bet often, but it's just play money.
It's just $10 here there
for the effort. Yeah. All right. A beauty for this week, and our beauty is one Bradley Marchand.
This'll teach those filthy bastards who's lovable.
That's right. He knows.
The lovable rat.
Look at him.
Brad Marchand, 5 goals in a row. And he has been terrific this last week or so since the Bergeron talk. And I still think he's done after next year, but he's back to being point per game guy.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see that he's kind of turned his game around here and found it. We need him to find it. He needs to be, that guy on this team. There needs to be kind of another star player, another option other than Pastrnak that opposing teams need to kind of key on to take some of the pressure off Pastrnak too. So it's good to see that he is back playing up to the level that we all expect.
Yeah, no question about it. I tell you, the Bender here is one of your faves right here.
Bender is John Tavares.
I'm a Bender.
Yeah, he how about that back check by John in the Toronto game? He was
terrific.
He's like, I don't think so.
Did he think the time was out? Like, did he think there was no chance they were going to go and score? I don't know. He just stood there.
Yeah, I don't know what he thought was happening, but he was the one guy that had a chance to catch either one of them, and there was zero effort.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Connor, our producer, does he take the ration of shit in Toronto that he should, John Tavares?
Probably not, but
right.
I feel like he produces enough points if you take the metric of, every 10 points is worth about $1 million and, add the plus minus, slap the C on him. He kind of equates, but I feel like when you're in Toronto, can you really get any amount of shit unless you're a defenseman?
Right, right.
That's a good point.
I feel like, I mean, Matthews gets shit because they haven't won and all that, but I think it's 100% Tavares. Like, I just think Tavares needs to get the screws. He needs to get, the hose. So
that's his culture, right?
Yeah.
He's the captain of the team. That's his culture, and that's a top-notch example you're setting. The rest of the team, you're out there in overtime
against the Bruins. Add your number.
Who are your nemesis? Guy blows a tire at center ice. The Leafs might call it a penalty on Marchand, but he lost an edge. Let's be realistic.
For context here, he's played 24 games, 7 goals, 16 assists, 23 points, and a +3 this year.
Okay. So he's been right there, been pretty good. Yeah, but the example that he sets is not pretty good. It's pretty terrible. That wasn't pretty good at all. As he watches Pastrnak going on a breakaway, and then Marchand somehow beats him to the front of the net. And it's funny because Pastrnak goes in on the breakaway, no one in the screen with a Maple Leaf sweater on except for the goalie. And then he flips it back out. Marchand has a time to glove it down, put it down, and shoot it in. And there still was not a single
Nobody
Maple
there. Yep,
in the
not
screen.
a soul. Nope.
Yeah. So that's a terrible
That's
example to set as the captain.
Yeah, that was not very good at all.
He would be third in points overall on the Bruins for context there.
Yeah.
I wanted him. I'll tell you, I wanted him when.
At the time, remember that we were like, we were like all in on Tavares.
Yeah, let's go get him. Yeah. Because I think him coming here, he would have been better off. He wouldn't have had the hometown pressure. He would have been able to slot in behind Bergeron. He wouldn't have had to
do some Jesus.
Yeah. And he could have, he could have learned kind of the defensive side of the game, maybe a little bit more from Bergeron.
Sure.
So I think he would have fit really, really, really well here. Yeah. But he chose a different path, and it hasn't really quite worked out for him.
No, it hasn't panned out for John Tavares. All right, Centennial Season Spotlight. Wayne Cashman is our guy this week.
I love
Wayne Cashman. I'll tell you, our buddy Bill, his father hated Wayne Cashman.
Really?
He did. He had such a at the end of his career, it was one of those where he was playing to past his prime.
Yeah.
And but Wayne Cashman had similar, I'm telling you similar, I mean, eerily similar numbers to David Krejci. Like, it's eerily similar.
Really?
Yeah. Cashman had, let's see, in 1,027 games, 277 goals, 516 assists for 793. He was right. He had 1,041 PIMs.
Yeah. Cashman could scrap. He would scrap.
And he was a plus, 4,000 as the rest of that team was. But he was, but he wasn't he had some playoff years where he was good. Had 30. How about this? He had 32 penalty minutes in one playoff series, one playoff back in was it 79, 80. But he had a couple of decent playoff runs there. But not too spectacular.
Not Kretsch playoffs.
Kretsch playoffs. No, he wasn't.
Took it to another level in the post.
He wasn't playoff Krejci at all. But Cashman was a pretty darn good player.
Mm-hmm.
He really was. He had 20 plus goals, 8 or 9 times.
So he consistently good.
Yeah, and he's 78 years young.
While you're talking about Cashman and some old stats here, you piqued my interest, so I searched it up. I want to throw you guys a quick question.
Okay.
I looked up who has the best plus minus of all time in the NHL. In the top 3, 2 of them are former Bruins players. Could you name any of the 3?
Well, or.
Correct.
And
he's number 2 at a plus 582 lifetime.
I think it's Bork. Right?
Correct. Bork is number 3 at plus 527.
Jesus.
Can you guess at who is in number 1 at a whopping plus 722?
Is it a defenseman?
1 second.
I have a guess if it's a defenseman.
722. Jesus. It's not Paul Coffey, is it?
I was going to say Nick Lidstrom.
It is not Nick Lidstrom. It is not Paul Coffey. Hold on.
Okay.
I've heard of this player's name, to be honest with you, but I don't know his exact position, so I want to just double check before I open my mouth.
I mean, it must be a defenseman. It's not Larry Robinson. No, that wouldn't be.
Ding, ding, ding. Larry Robinson.
Larry Robinson.
Well, yeah, so he was on all those Montreal teams that were wagons.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, 722. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I believe that. I believe that. He played a long time too, Larry. He played a long time.
A long time. Yeah, he played a long time.
Wayne Gretzky came in 4th at a plus 520.
So he was the top forward. 520.
Yeah, Gretzky's top forward.
Yeah. Wow. That's wow. 520 as a forward. Jesus.
Yeah, that's craziness.
It's just craziness.
Well, I mean, talking about arguably the greatest player.
I mean, you're talking about Orr and Gretzky.
The next Bruin on the list is a ways down there. Looks like probably
Is
about
it
10th. It is Brad Park at plus 363.
Oh, 363 Park. Wow.
Yeah, he was
Park
with the
was so
Rangers
good.
too for some of that.
Park was so good, so underrated, so
Yeah.
good.
He was.
He had the goal that like made me fall in love with the Bruins against the
Yeah.
Sabres.
Sabres.
83.
Yep.
Like, yeah, the overtime goal was like that was the first time I was like, this. I love this fucking team.
Me too.
That was unbelievable. That was after the other loss to the Quebec Nordiques, the Stastnys in '82, and then in '83 they won that series in Game 7 in overtime. And the Fred Cusick's call, the place was just bananas. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
I think I'm almost positive. I don't know if it was the '82 series or the '83 series, but I went to a playoff game against the Nordiques that the Bruins got down 3-0 on all goals by the Stastny brothers, and it may have been a hat trick by Peter Stastny. The Bruins were down 3-0 going into the third, and they came back and won 4-3.
Oh,
and it was one of the best. That made me. That was that and the Brad Park goal that made me fall in love with the Bruins.
Okay, the atmosphere was just unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, Providence Bruins beauty of the week. How about Alec Regula? Came over in the Taylor Hall trade. He's a plus 16 this season, tops in the AHL. Tops.
Having a pretty good year. 14 PIMs in 21 games. So he gets after it a little bit physically, maybe. Not really. But 2 goals, 6 assists is pretty good. And plus 16, he's doing things the right way. Right shot defenseman. Is that somebody that could step in and play if Shattenkirk was dinged up or somebody like that? I don't know. Is that a guy that you would? Is that a guy that you would rather see than Ian Mitchell? I don't know his size. Is regular kind of a bigger guy? Because Mitchell's not really.
Mitchell's not. And Ian Mitchell is more Connor Clifton than anything. I mean, he's kind of a skate around the world kind of guy.
He is without the physicality.
Without the physicality, right? Because that's something that Connor Clifton would bring to the table for sure. Is he would beat a guy, and Regula's 6'4", 207.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a big one. He's a big kid.
So he's a guy I wouldn't mind seeing step in at some point. Just to see how it looks.
23 years old, doesn't turn 24 till August. Like he's still young. He still has some upside. I think he's played eight NHL games, I believe, for the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
No, more than that. He's played 18 and 4. He's played 22 total games with the Blackhawks. He played with the London Knights of the OHL. Had a phenomenal year as a defenseman his last year there. And it was picked in the 3rd round in 2018 by the Red Wings. So, but he's, maybe he's a guy that's kind of a sneaky.
Yeah, sometimes it takes D-men a little bit longer to develop and kind of find their games because it's not an easy position at all. So,
no, it's not at all. So I think that's a good little bright spot. I mean, they dumped Hall and Foligno. Well, the opportunity to sign Foligno at the time, but I think they got Mitchell and Regula, who are 2 serviceable guys. So it's a decent trade anyway. You don't want to trade a guy like Taylor Hall usually for nothing, but they got a little something in the pipeline there. So good for them. And then the prospect spotlight. How about Philip Svedback, another goaltender? He is playing with the Providence Friars. They are ranked this year. Just lost a tough one to the Eagles of Boston College. But Svedback has a 2.13 goals against and a 9.08 save percentage. He has 9 wins and is a good goalie prospect for them. He was a draft pick of the Bruins. And just add him to the list. Michael DiPietro, who was on our show, has been terrific. Like he's been excellent this season for Providence. And of course, Brandon Bussey's very good. And you have Reed Dick, who's playing pretty well for Swift Current, the Broncos in the Western Hockey League. So again, Bruins do a great job with goaltenders, just a phenomenal job. identifying and developing.
Goaltending is kind of like pitching. Like you can never have enough.
Sure.
But at the same time, I wouldn't mind seeing the Bruins kind of deal a little bit from a strength here and see if you can deal one of these goalies to somebody and get something in return that could benefit the big club, benefit the Bruins. Can you get a tough, defenseman? Can you get, a forward? You'd have to probably include some other stuff in it, depending on who it is. But, can you put one of these goalies into a trade to help the Bruins? I mean, they have a lot of guys here who are good prospects as goalies.
They do. And you had Kyle Kaiser, who hasn't been great, but he's another guy who's been in the mix there too. And so I'm with you. I think that maybe you can add one of these guys into a deal somewhere, especially if it's a deal where like Hannafin's playing strong arm, and maybe you put in DiPietro or someone in the thing, just to sort of get some value for one of them. Mm-hmm. You're not going to need them all. So, especially with Swayman and Ullmark, and they'll probably. I still think they're going another year with Swayman and Ullmark. So
I think you're right. I think they will.
I really think they are, especially with their cap room they have next year. I think they are. I really do.
I mean, I told you. I think in the playoffs they're going with the platoon. I think they're
going
too. Straight platoon in the playoffs. I really do.
Yeah. Wacky. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. That's either gonna blow up in their faces or be just genius. Who knows? I'm gonna go with the latter. Or the former, rather, on that one. I don't have a lot of faith in that thing, but okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, week ahead for the Bruins: December the 13th at New Jersey, December the 15th at the Islanders, and then the Rangers back at home the next night, the 16th, and then the Minnesota Wild at home on the 19th. So a 4-game stretch here of some pretty good teams, and the Bruins will be back at it. They've been off since Saturday. So they have a chance here to get a little bit of rest, hopefully get McAvoy back. He's day-to-day, as is Zacha. He's day-to-day. So hopefully a chance to get those two guys back and see what you have coming up this week as we head toward Christmas and the Bruins atop the Eastern Conference. Go ahead.
Also, what we need to mention is the 13th is Maddie's birthday.
Yes.
You'll
one of the great days in history.
Yeah, it is. The 13th of December is your birthday, and so we need a big win out of the Bruins at New Jersey. Yeah. I miss you, Mr.
That's where I should be on my 51st birthday. Is exit 16W over at New Jersey. Yeah, to see the Devils and Bruins. I should be there.
You should.
I will not be. It's trivia time, evidently. What's Connor saying trivia time for?
I am going to jump in yet again today and just let it all out.
Okay.
So I got a little bored while you guys were talking about some of the old school Bruins stuff, and something crossed my mind.
Okay.
There's a couple Bruins trades within the last couple decades that are really barn burners. So I'm going to give you some of the general ideas of the trade, and I'm going to see if you guys can pick the player. In 2015, the Bruins and the Minnesota Wild connected on a trade. The Minnesota Wild acquired the 2015 fifth-round pick of the Boston Bruins and gave them a 2016 fifth-round pick.
I know this, yeah.
The Bruins pick that they acquired from Minnesota in 2016 became Cameron Clark.
Yeah.
The pick that Minnesota got in 2015 became
Kirill Kaprizov. Yep.
Perfect.
Great one.
Let's go back. To 2007.
Okay.
The Columbus Blue Jackets traded Adam McQuaid to the Boston Bruins for a 2007 fifth-round pick. Now, this player is a center in the National Hockey League, and he does not play for the Columbus Blue Jackets, but he is the captain of his respective team.
Ooh.
2007 fifth-round pick. 2007. So, Christ, he's in the league. That was 16 years ago.
And whenever you guys get a little dry, I'll give you another hint that might get you across the finish line. Somebody out there right now is driving through traffic.
Oh, they are. They are.
They're
Screaming at
Hanging
their
out.
radio right
Yeah,
now.
they are. They
I'm
are.
like, these assholes don't know hockey.
Yeah.
What are we listening to them for?
Now,
Right.
this player also plays on a team, a power play unit, and most of the time a line with a former Bruins first round draft pick.
Oh, Nick Foligno.
He is the current captain of the team he plays on, I said.
Current captain of the team he plays on.
And he plays on a line
07.
power play unit with another former first round pick.
Isn't 07 the Zach Hamill year? I think it is.
Yeah.
07
Western
Center.
Conference team.
Western Conference. Not.
Oh,
not
Jamie Benn.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Jamie Benn.
Wow. Wow. I'll tell you what. That was from the ass region. That was nice. That was a nice job. Jesus. Jamie Benn. Wow. 5th round pick in 07.
Wow.
Wow. They could have had Jamie Benn.
That was the time where the Bruins went bananas on defensemen. They acquired Andrew Ference, Aaron Ward, Dennis Weidman, Adam McQuaid, and drafted Tommy Cross in the 2nd round, all within a year span.
Wow.
Okay.
All of them
Sometime,
turned out to be pretty good, except for Tommy Cross, who never really broke into the NHL, but he was like a career AHL
Oh
guy.
my God, he played
like
for
500
a
games
long
in the
time.
AHL or something.
Yeah, he did. He played a long time.
I believe
did.
he was the captain of the P Bruins for a
He
short
was.
stint
He
before-
was.
He was, yeah.
He was. And he finally got a shot with the Bruins like once toward the end.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it was when he was kind of past his prime a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
It was in the playoffs as well.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember that.
Injuries.
Oh, we'll have to mix in trivia time. at the end.
Anywho, I will
Yeah.
try to bring some fun little random Bruins trivia or things
That's
like that, and
excellent,
random
Mark.
crappy
Yeah, make
snacks.
sure it's stuff that we can answer though, because if we don't know it, then we look like assholes and people want.
Yeah.
But
we're
I'll
gonna
I'll
test our-
keep milking you the good ones.
You can, yeah. Go ahead and milk me. Can you milk me?
Whoa,
Connor?
whoa,
Okay,
whoa.
Connor,
My
you can
name
milk
isn't Adam
anyone.
Oates.
Brandon Carlo, milking him.
You can milk anything with nipples.
For those of you on YouTube,
That's Bobby
here's
De Niro.
the
No,
absolute
There it
Look
is.
at that. Look at
Brandon
that.
Carlo.
That's
There it is
making.
again.
That's making.
That's a
He's
good
wet
album
across
cover
New
right
England.
there. That's a really good album cover right there.
It is. He should be a country singer, shouldn't he?
He should be, yeah. Brandon Carlo. What would his hit song be?
My truck is better than my ex-girl. Something. I like my dog better than my ex-girlfriend. I like my truck and my dog better than you.
Or off the kick plate?
A
That
long
was-
gone highway. Something.
Well.
Long
I
road.
believe Tyler said something about him having a long, rangy stick.
He does
Oh,
have a long. There you go. The long
There it
range
is.
stick.
Long rangy stick. Yeah. The long rangy stick. That's a country music.
If you
word.
guys do not let that be the episode title now,
Yeah.
I think you failed.
It's
No,
a-
I think it should be
I
the
think
long
we're
range
changing
stuff.
it. The long rangy
Yeah.
stick. We're changing it. Yeah.
Yeah. We're changing it.
For all the ladies. All right. Go to InsideTheRink.com for Bruins Benders merchandise, shirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, stickers, and coasters, and all sorts of things. Autographed
Banners.
memorabilia
Yeah.
from Smitty. The whole gamut. Follow us on social media at Bruins Benders. We do the game updates on Twitter. Until next time, folks, thanks a lot for listening, and go Bruins.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.